Got it. Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls around the world. It's once again time for the WADcast episode number 153. I am one of your hosts, Josh, joined as always by the guy that I always cut off mid sentence, Brandon.
What's up, everybody? Happy Friday night. Oh God, next week is Christmas, isn't it? So, I'm sorry, the week after is Christmas.
Okay.
So we have one more Friday till Christmas. So, you know what? I was going to say happy Friday before Christmas, but I'm going to
You'd
take
be a
that
liar.
back. I would be a liar, and I'm not a liar. Not now, not ever, Josh. But no, happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to the WADcast. It is great to be back. Our second show since my very untriumphant return to California, post Florida and Austin, Texas. So, yeah, it's good to be back. It's good to be hanging out with everyone with our special guests that we have that you see in the box below ours. Josh, would you like to introduce who we have on the show?
Yeah. Because you saw the full screen formatting intro this week instead of the very improperly formatted one Brandon made. Yeah, I went there. Tonight we have a very, very special guest joining us. She is not only a writer, not only an actor, not only a director, but also a producer of short films and audio dramas. She is none other than Liane Moonraven. Good evening.
Liane, welcome to our show. It's good to have you on here.
Thank you. Great to be here. Hey,
And,
Josh.
Hey.
and it's okay. I just shared that we're live on Facebook, Josh. So now we'll have at least maybe 3 or 4 people watching us while it's live. All of our views are pretty much downloads and long after the show is done. So we get a few people occasionally that come and chime in. Hopefully, we'll have a few people that are curious as to what filmmaking is all about.
Share it and tag me so it pops up on my page also.
Yeah, Josh, share it and tag her.
In the process.
A little quicker. Anyway, so Liane, would you tell us about yourself? Where are you from initially? Where did you get your start and everything, and what brought you into before we get into the whole your career as a filmmaker and producer writer? What got you into that? Where did you get started with the whole thing?
Well, I wanted to be an actor for as long as I can remember. As far back as 3 years old, I always wanted to be an actor. I was an only child, so I had a lot of time on my hands to be creative and play imaginary games and keep myself entertained, especially back then when, there was only 3 channels on TV.
Okay.
And nothing on Sunday to do. So I just started role playing. And that's what really got me interested in it as a kid. And I Love Lucy was Lucille Ball was my role model. I thought she was fabulous.
Oh yeah, no, she's amazing. And so when you when an actor, what did you do next with that? What did you?
So well, I got my first role as a lead in a musical in high school when I was in high school. And when I graduated high school, I went to college for film production. And I was in my second year. And, they didn't have editing suites like you have today, all digitalized and everything. We had to literally edit and cut film. And I was struggling a little bit in the class. And I went to my chairman of the department and I said, I'm struggling a little bit in this class. I need a little extra help. And he basically said I was wasting my time because I have 2 strikes against me. He said, I'm Black and I'm female and I will never make it in Hollywood. And so it was devastating. And as an impressionable 18-year-old, I wasn't the person that I am today. It really kind of stole my dream and broke my dream. And so I quit school and I went and actually had another very successful career. But I think like most creatives, if it's in your blood, if it's in your in who you are, it stays with you. So it took me about 25 years, but that burning was still there. And I said, I'm older now, I'm stronger, I'm independent. So I'm going to give it a go. And so I started acting again. And then, but this time I used my voice. I became a voice actor. I became a narrator. I did movie trailers and I did promotional voiceovers. I did a couple of audio books, but I started using my voice as acting. And I found that that was fabulous for me, that I was doing character voices, and I really enjoyed it. Really, really enjoyed it.
That's awesome. See, that's so weird. Like, I mean, it's like first off, the film editing, Josh. I don't know if you've ever seen what an actual editing studio, the old school editing studios, look like. It's intimidating as hell. The first time you ever see it, and you realize you're going to go do your first thing in the splicing part.
Yeah.
Like trying to find out where you're, like, the actual cut, and have to like hold the reel up and like look and like, okay, that's where I need it, and like mark it and then cut it, tape it, or like it's, oh my God.
And if you fuck it up, then
Oh yeah.
So, and this is why I was struggling. It wasn't like I was the only one struggling, but so that experience actually became my motivation.
Okay.
That I was going to stand somewhere someday and tell that man, well, you were wrong. Here I am. So I started writing scripts because I was always a writer. As a kid, I was writing. I had pen pals all around the world, and I was writing stories. And, I partnered with a guy named Paul Sampson, who's an actor, and he used to get me to beta read his movie scripts for him. And because I had published books under Liane Moonraven, I had published a couple of books, self-published. But he introduced me to movie scripts, and I would read his scripts for him, and we would go through and, not necessarily a script doctor or a script consultant, but just like a beta reader. And he began to teach me how to write film scripts. And so that's what I started doing. And I mean, I really found my love then. So between the voice acting and the movie scripts, I really had hit on something that I really love. And I wrote my first feature in 2014. And it's I've never done anything with it, unfortunately. But it's a gangster script, but a psychological thriller gangster script.
Okay.
I still hope I produce that one day, but
okay.
But then I wrote a second one called Paper Angels, which is like, I think one of my favorites. Well, no, all of them are my favorites, but Paper Angels was about these children who had gone missing for many years. And it's a feature. It's about 96 minutes probably. And I attempted to shoot that, but you just can't shoot a movie with no money. So that didn't go quite according to plan. We did shoot something, but it wasn't usable. So then I started focusing on short films, and I wrote a few short film scripts, and those were a lot easier to produce, but you don't make money off of short films. So yeah, but I've done about 6 of those, I think, 6 short films.
Okay. I mean, like, the thing is, they are actually, making things. That's the important part that people don't really, they get lost in detail.
Yeah.
And, while making short films, I mean, I know people do make a living off of writing shorts and skits and everything else, but it's such a small percentage of people actually make a living off of doing that stuff, or even like really make money at all in doing that kind of thing. Thing. But yeah, it's a guy I know out here in California. This Mark Hensley. I mentioned him last week, I think, when we had Charlie on the show. He is working on his own feature film right now. And I think he's doing a little to no budget. He has his gear, which is saving him money on renting. But I know with him, he is just pretty much using friends or like pretty much low cost help, really just feeding people. That's it. Like that's how he does things. But even then, that costs money. So
Well, and that's
right.
how I did all of mine. I mean, we just got together and, and then sometimes though you get what you pay for. It doesn't necessarily,
No.
it doesn't turn out the way that you want. So Sat Nav was my first short film. And I'm so proud of that little 4.5 minute film because we had just moved to England and we were getting used to the area. And, they have roundabouts. And, I'm like, I would just get lost and I would just freak out because I didn't know where the hell I was. Right. So one night, my daughter and I had been out and we were trying to make it back home. And we hit this roundabout. And I thought the sat nav said, take the first exit. I thought the sat nav said take the second exit, and I took the first exit. And we ended up in a storage container park. It was like 11 o'clock at night, completely deserted. And I was like, oh my God, the killer's going to get us.
I was going to say, that doesn't sound remotely ominous at all.
Yeah, right. I was like, then we're going to die. So I had a little Clio and I just turned the car around. And, my daughter said something along the lines of, what if that really happened, that, somebody hacked your sat nav or something? And I thought, okay, there's a script in that. So I went directly home and I sat down and I wrote the short Sat Nav. And we went out and shot it, like no money, just some friends. Somebody had a camera, somebody had the sound, blah, blah, blah. We go and we shoot it. But the editing on it was so bad, and the B-roll, I mean, the editing, we just didn't have enough footage. And so I was ready to scrap it. And I met this young lady. And she said, no, we're going to finish this film. So we got B-roll. We went out and it was a completely different car, but we did a tight shot so you couldn't really tell. We just shot through the windshield so you couldn't see the interior of the car. We went and picked up some B-roll. She edited for me and we got it done. So it's not perfect, but it's sat nav, and I'm so proud of that little film. So that was my first one.
Yeah, man. Like I actually just watched that this morning. It does very well done. That's the one with the woman, the ex-boyfriend, and everything else, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was your first. That was your first.
That was my first short. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm going to shut up. I'm going to let Josh, jump in here.
Jump in, Josh.
Unmutes his mic.
Well, the first thing I'm going to say is, when it comes to other people, they often have this, if they're not a part of some sort of creative process, they instantly hear, oh, you make films of some sort? What have I heard of? How come you don't have $10 million to just throw around for your budget? And, well, the thing is, when you don't have $10 million, the next best thing to have is a group of wonderful people that can, help share your vision and bring it to life. Yeah. That's why we always say here, one, don't be a jerk. You never know who could possibly, lend a hand or just be awesome.
Yeah.
And two, if somebody is willing to lend you time and effort, always feed them. That's been one of the commandments of the WADcast since day one. And unfortunately, I didn't live up to that advice myself when Brandon came to town. I didn't feed him.
Nope, not one bit.
Well, that's what my mentor said. He said, make sure you feed your crew. If your crew is hungry, they're not going to work. And so, I made sure that I had craft service, literally, not just sandwiches, but like a full spread for them. I had snacks for them. That was the bulk of the budget, was to make sure that they had water, juice, fruit, healthy stuff, not just like crap, like chips and stuff. So on every single one of my sets, I made sure that they had cold cuts and good things to eat.
If anyone that was there for either Bad Agent or the Bad Agent trailer, and if anyone's watching this episode right now, with you just mentioning that, it's like, excuse me, you gave us chips. I'm like, yeah, well, you ate something. Like, there was soda and candy. Mark, the gentleman I was just talking about earlier, like, he was going to town, like, think like Kit Kats. And
my mentor, he told me from the beginning, he was like, and another thing he said to me was, the audience will forgive bad acting. I mean, they'll cuss you out for it, but they'll forgive you for bad acting. They'll forgive you for bad lighting. But one thing they will never forgive you for is bad sound. If they can't hear the movie, you're done, absolutely done. So, I took a lot of time to make sure that we had good sound on the films. So then my second film was, I can't remember what my second one was, but I'll tell you about my shortest one. I wanted to challenge myself to tell the story in 3 minutes. And I don't know, just again, I had this idea that I wanted to do an assassins film.
Okay.
So it's a 3-minute short, and it gets the job done. It literally gets the job done in 3 minutes. So that was just a challenge that I had given myself to see if I could pull that one off, and I did. And the guy that I'm one of the assassins, and that's the thing about writing your own stuff, because you can put yourself in it too. So, and the guy that was in it that played the other assassin, Nasaro Kareem, I want to give him a shout out, because that man has been with me through all of my films, and he's just a great guy, really, really great person to work with. So in turn, he put me in the lead role in one of his films called Date Night. And it's like, what could go wrong? That's the tagline on Date Night. So I got to do some comedy in that. And I really enjoyed working on that set. So, and it was good to be an actor in front of the camera. And he just kind of let me go and do whatever I wanted with the script, and he said he wrote it to my personality. So I really was able to have some freedom in that role. So it was really fun. It was a long shoot, but it was fun.
I mean, it sounds like it's easier, like, especially if something's written. Well, let me ask you this as as an actress. If you have something that's written and the person that wrote it based it like largely off your personality, or like their perception of your personality, but they're like enough, like close enough, like didn't exactly hit the nail on the head, but they got close to it. Would you say those are the easier roles? Because, like you said, there's freedom in it, but you are at some point, like, you're reading lines and everything else, but you're not exact. I don't want to say you're not acting, but I would say that it's the acting would be more minimal because it's more your personality. So it's really you reading these lines and delivering them in a believable way, of course, but just you being able to be more. Do you think you'd be like, you feel more free in your own skin if that's the case? Versus you trying to get into the mindset of a character that's, I guess I would say, like a polar, like a completely different personality type than what you would be.
That's a good question. And, it goes to range. And I think that I've had some challenging roles and it's like you said, people's perception. But I have so many layers to my onion, and I have so many things that I can tap into that would surprise people, Okay. So I can go to different places of sadness or even darkness, which I don't think you would outwardly know that about me. So I enjoy doing that. I've played a lot of different roles, and Josh knows in our audio group, I play a lot of different characters and different character voices. And I really enjoy doing that because I can be somebody different in each one of those roles. So, yeah, that one really was I think he was the only one who told me that he actually wrote something that he thought was, because the girl is a bit sassy.
Okay.
And I have been labeled sassy pretty much. My students, I was an adjunct professor, my students called me sassy. So I think that was, yeah.
Okay. I mean, Josh just calls me sexy, but I mean, it's like I've never gotten called sassy yet. Like it's either sexy or it's like just like violent, disgusting. But
But that I think is a good segue, since you brought it up, the audio group. And there's one particular story that seems to be recurring, in your life over the last many years. Tell us about the Burbs.
Well, can we talk about Diamond first? Or do you want to
Absolutely.
talk about the Burbs first and then we talk about Diamond?
Oh, Diamond, that's an interesting one. So whichever direction you want to go, we will ride along with you.
Well, I have to talk about my girl Diamond for a minute because that one is recurring in my life as well. So, Diamond is Forever is one of the productions on the Carmen Online Theater Group, which is the name of my the audio theater production company. And it's a combination of my name and my mentor's name. And so I've just put Carmen together. That's why it's that. People ask me, well, what's Carmen? So yeah, it's Carlette and, my mentor's name. So one day I was upstairs in my bedroom and I needed to go to the grocery store, and my husband was sitting downstairs in the chair and he was watching some program. So when I crossed through the living room and I looked at the television, I was like, oh, what's that? And he said, it's a program called Dark Obsessions. And something on the screen just caught my eye and I thought, ooh. And so I sat down and I watched the entire episode, and it just captivated me. It sucked me in like a vortex. And it was about ex-partners who stalk their partner after the breakup. And for some reason, I don't know whether it was my mindset at the time, but I just got obsessed with Dark Obsessions. So I went to the grocery store, and instead of paying attention, I'm just like taking things down off the shelf and throwing them into the basket. And I was thinking about this character, and she evolved in my mind, to the drive back home. And I put the groceries away and I'm still thinking about this character. So I went upstairs and we had started the audio production company by then, Josh, right? And I said, I've got to do this. And I sat down in front of my microphone, and with no script, it was completely ad lib. And I did this 15-minute monologue of this woman, Diamond. There was no script. I did it in one take, and Diamond is Forever. Diamond is Forever was born, and the character's name is Diamond, and that's why it's Diamond is Forever, not Diamonds. So I was really proud of that monologue because, like I said, I didn't have a script or anything, and it's won at the Here Now. It's been a submission, and she's won awards, and so I was just overwhelmed with the reception of Diamond. Like, so people that I wouldn't even expect to have listened to it and absolutely loved it. So then I said, well, you know what? I'm going to make a film. So I took the audio from Diamond and made a film around it. And again, it was well received. People loved it. They laughed. They thought it was funny. And so she's going to make another resurrection, Josh, because I'm opening a black box theater in the UK. You are the first to know here on this show. and I'm going to put Diamond on the stage. So she will have been audio, film, and stage.
Okay.
Star of stage created television.
Yep, that's it. Well, TV's next.
Nice. Okay. So, yeah, there was something, Josh, you were going to ask a question about the Burbs or something like that, or was there something else you were following? You asked a question before we got into about like Diamond. Like, I think that's fascinating. Like, I really do.
Yeah, Diamond's a great story. I think you did see the short.
I did see the short, yes, and it was very intriguing. I did like the short. It's like I was like as you're like mentioning certain things, like it's come back because I like just went through like a list of things the other day. Because mind you, also this week I was also catching up on Charlie's Charlie's stuff too from like last week that I wasn't able to attend because it was in Jacksonville. So it's like been a week of watching some from a past guest and like just like trying to catch up on things for next guest while I'm also getting into the work grind. So there's some things that I don't mean to sound dismissive whatsoever, Liane. Like, I mean, like everything I've watched of yours, I did enjoy. I'm just trying to get into which things I have seen, which ones I did not get a chance to see. Because I was also watching things that you produced on or that you'd written. I was finding things about you on YouTube that I was watching too. So it was one like with an old man with a Christmas ornament. I forget the name of it.
Yes, well, I figured we get to that. That is a proof of concept. It's not a short or anything. It's just a proof of concept that we shot, and we shot that in November 2019. And you might recognize Nigel Barber, who's playing the dad in that. He was in. He's been around, and he was in Mission Impossible 3, and he was the chairman in that film, and. He came up from London to help me out with that, but it's a proof of concept. It's a feature film that I wrote. It's a Christmas horror. Well, it's a Christmas horror. I was going to say it's a psychological thriller, but yeah, it's somewhere in between a psychological thriller and a horror. But it's with Christmas in the backdrop, as you saw from the clip there.
Yeah, the ornament and like yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to raise money to make that film. I really, really, really want to make that film. So I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I never know how to do those things. So we'll see.
I mean, if certain things work out in my favor, I will, get into investing in creative stuff. I think it's like
good because I have some ideas.
Oh, I was talking about hers, not yours. But the thing.
And you know what? I have to tell you, I'm sorry if I keep wiggling around and y'all see me shifting and stuff, but I'm in an Airbnb. This isn't my house. This is because I'm on vacation. But I'm
well. Thank you for joining us on your vacation.
Yeah, seriously.
I'm on holiday. Because Brandon, I don't know if you know, I live in the UK now, right? I've been living there for almost 7 years, and I have no British accent at all. But
it's okay.
I'm just. So they got these little teeny bar stool chairs, and I have an ample ass. And so this big old bubble butt, and it is just not doing well on this chair. So that's why I keep shifting and moving and leaning up, leaning back.
It's okay. I've got this computer chair, and I have no ass, so it's okay. It's like a ski slope. So I have like extra cushion on the chair because there's no cushion on my ass at all. So, if I was sitting on a stool, you'd be seeing me like just like moving around because I would just be having a hard time.
Yeah, I just didn't want people to think I was on crack or something because I keep twitching and moving.
No, it's okay. No. If anything, we would think that you had Tourette's or something like that, or like some kind of Parkinson's or whatever. But like, yeah, that's what at most that's what we.
So the Burbs. But, I'm sorry, the Burbs. So I'll go back to Josh's question. The Burbs.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry.
So I'm from DC originally, and I moved to the suburbs after my second daughter was born. And we hadn't been living in the house that long when some really weird shit started happening. And I mean, like really weird, supernatural, paranormal shit.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that stuff.
And so the same mentor, Paul Sampson, I was talking to on the phone one night, and I had already been toying with the idea of doing audio theater because I would, like I said, I was doing the voice work and I was doing the promotional videos and things like that. I had done a couple of movie trailers, and
Okay.
we were having this conversation. I was going over with him some of the things that had happened, and I said, this would make a really, really good audio theater. And I was like, oh, this would make a really good audio theater. And so The Burbs was born. I started writing scripts, and I found a couple of people that were interested in doing it with me. I think we started off with like 5 people. And now we're up to 12, something like that. And
Okay.
we've run 6 seasons, 6 episodes each season. The idea behind that is that we would do 6 episodes, 10 minutes each. So each season would be about roughly an hour. And that way, if anybody was behind a season, it would only take them an hour to catch up. So I wrote all of the material on The Burbs, every single script I wrote myself. And then we also did some added audio work, which, that's when we really get to have a lot of fun too, because they're different. So I have adapted a couple of scripts, like some old radio scripts I have readapted, and we've done those. And we've done my author friend, I'm gonna give a shout out to Isaac Thorne. And we've done, one of his where I got to play the lead in that. That was Because Reasons by Isaac Thorne. And we did the vocal to that. But one of my favorites, Josh, was Buried Alive. We did that. That was also my adaptation of the original story. Of the Beyond the Grave was the original one for that. And we've done a lot. And most of it is original content. One, we did the Dracula Chronicles for Victor. I can't remember Victor's last name. Victor.
Dracula.
It's called the Dracula Chronicles, and it's more about Vlad Tepes. So,
Okay.
But we did one of those, and so I can't even remember how I met Josh. I really honestly cannot remember how we met, but it's been about 6 or 7 years now, and I cast him in The Burbs, and we've been rolling ever since.
Okay. Yeah, it's like, but I mean, don't feel bad. I forget how I met Josh too. It's just like it was some weird, I don't know, thing about like a McDonald's or Walmart or something like that.
Josh, how did we meet? Do you remember?
No. It
don't
just feels
remember?
like we
Neither one of you know how you met the other person. That is
I have no idea. But Josh and I, we became really good friends through The Burbs. I mean, we used to sit up and Josh would tolerate me while I got drunk and talk shit. And we would have our late night combos online like this, and I would have my glass of wine, and I was going through some really tough times then. And The Burbs, I say that The Burbs saved my life, and I say that in every single interview because I was going through a dark time, and I really had given up. I had said, this is it. I just really can't take anymore. And so I had the glass of water in one hand and the pills in the other. And I looked over at my daughter and I said, nope, can't do it. So I put the pills back, put the water down, and I said, okay, I'm going to give this thing called The Burbs a shot. And so that's when I picked it up and I started running with it. And I literally say it saved my life because that night could have gone a very different way.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm happy you're still here. So, I mean, it's.
Well, thank you.
But,
so, just to continue on for a second about The Burbs, I got a casting call, and you just fill out the little form, and that's what I did, and I didn't even think any more about it. And a couple of months after I did that, I got a phone call from a casting director. And they said, we got your story. they were doing a story on they were doing a horror series on things that happen in people's neighborhoods. And I was like, well, I've got a story for you. And I recapped everything, that I had, because The Burbs is based on true stories. But for this, I told them, the actual stories that had happened. And they were like, okay, we'll get back to you. Well, they did. They called me back and they videotaped me online like this, telling the stories. Well, long story short, next thing you know, a couple months later, they're flying me and my daughter out to Los Angeles to shoot our stories. And it was on John Carpenter's Suburban Screams. So
Okay,
The
that's
Burbs
cool.
really did save my life.
Okay, no, that's awesome. I mean,
Yeah,
so
they just came out around Halloween.
so like, where can you find this now? Is it airing or is it?
It's on the Peacock Network.
Oh, okay, all right. So
Suburban.
you actually have a role on the show then. You actually have like
Well,
a
it's scripted, and the reason why, but I want to explain that scripted. So they interviewed me, and they wrote my story, and then we sat in a room, and he filmed me like you're interviewing me now.
Yeah.
So Jordan Roberts was the director, and oh my God, he's great. He just, because these were very personal. Josh, you saw it, right?
I did. Yeah.
It's deeply personal, the things that happened. And the thing is, it's all true. Everything that they showed, with the exception of Brian getting dragged through the woods, like that never happened. Okay, he didn't get dragged.
Well, I mean, you got to embellish a little bit and make it like even more creepy.
Yeah, exactly. You got to put a little bit in there. But what I'm saying is, it was so little that they changed. But everything, and that dinner scene with the raw meat, that actually happened. That happened exactly the way they filmed it. So, and I was really impressed. I messaged Jordan after I saw it when it aired, and I said, you really kept the integrity of my stories. And he told it in such a compassionate way, because let me tell you folks, those tears that I'm shedding in that are real. They are real tears. Those are real stories. And my husband is dead. He died. So, and that's, you can verify that on the internet. He did pass away. And so, yeah, it was rough, but The Burbs is back. So when I moved to the UK, I started my doctoral thesis for my PhD. And as much as I wanted to keep going with The Burbs, I couldn't do it because I couldn't switch between writing academically and writing creatively. It was too difficult. And so I had to put The Burbs on hiatus for a while. But now I'm finished my doctoral, and I'm back. I've got 3 scripts of the new season written, and I can't wait to bring it back.
Yeah, I'm looking at I googled it really quick on my laptop, and I'm seeing the Burbs here, season 5, episode 5. This is one of the very first things that comes up when I Google it. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, if you're going to Google The Burbs, make sure you Google Liane Moonraven, The Burbs. Otherwise, you're going to get the Tom Hanks movie and like the 80s here. Yeah, because that's the first thing. Oh, The Burbs. That sounds like sounds familiar, but just the title alone. But it's not the same. It's obviously your own thing. So The Burbs. This is all like an audio story, like an audio narrative.
So I write these scripts, and I know the cast of characters that I have, and then if I need an extra voice or something, either I'll do it, or because I have a character in the Burbs as well. I play the mayor.
Okay.
I play the mayor, Casey Williams, and she is a hot ass mess. Let me tell you, Casey is something else. She's you're talking about my personality. She's probably my alter ego, actually. She says the things I wish I could say. But so I know the characters that I have, and so I write the script around the characters that I have, and it's very character driven, and Josh plays, I have to give him props because first of all, Josh is a good actor. And I have to give him props because Josh, bless your heart, he will do anything I ask him to do that I need him to do for the Burbs. And he has voiced characters, but the character that I cast him in as Daniel is a very troubled, tortured young man. He's possessed, and he's Casey's son. That's enough right there. But Josh, man, he's given some riveting performances when Daniel has been tortured. And if you go back and listen to some of those, man, I'm going to give his character a break, though, for a little while. But
no, don't do it. Make him earn every accolade he gets.
But see, to keep to real life, Casey's got to get some karma, somewhere along the way. So this season, season 7, Casey's gonna get tripped up a little bit. We got a little sidetracked one season because I had an actor that was with us who was what we have found, and Josh, correct me if I'm wrong or if I'm misspeaking here, but we have such a tight group. Our core group is about 7 of us, 8 of us, and we are so tight knit, and we really work so well together. And I've tried to bring other people in, for other characters, and it just each time has been a disaster, an epic disaster.
Without naming names, what's the worst thing that what's one of the most disastrous things that's happened? Again, not mentioning any names. I don't want anyone they're getting upset because they're being called out. But that way, if someone does get upset, it's like, oh, she's talking about you. Why are you getting so defensive?
Well, I think
I'm just curious. I'm curious.
It's more of the cast that I have realized my vision, and they have the same vision, and they have the drive and the passion. But more importantly, and it's so hard for me to take credit for anything. I'm trying to get better at that, but they want to do it for me. They want me to be successful. And I don't think that I've ever really had that before, where I've had people really supporting me like that. And I think that this is why people haven't been able to join us, because first of all, they don't have the vision, but secondly, they have their own agenda when they join us. And they want to maybe take over what's going on. Oh yeah, they will want to take over, or they want to change it, or they don't want to comply with the rules, because we have to have boundaries, and we do have boundaries in the Burbs, and it works for us. It works for this core group. And so what we do is I write the script and I send it out to the actors, whoever's in that particular script. We have a dress rehearsal. Well, not a dress rehearsal, but you know what I mean.
A voice rehearsal.
A voice rehearsal. And I give them direction from that. And they go off and they record their parts, and they send me their WAV files. And my sound engineer, Sebastian Lehman, who is amazing, he puts it all together for me. I go out and collect my own sound effects, you know, because as I'm writing, I'm visualizing and hearing, because I'm in the scene when I'm writing. So I'm writing down all the sound effects and everything. So I go out and I find dripping water or running water, and I even found a paper bag crumpling one time, so whatever I need in that scene to make it real, I go out and I find that. And then Seb, he lays it all down for me. And then the Burbs episode is done. And we move on to the next one.
Okay. And you said each season's about an hour long, so as to be able to, I guess, for people if they're behind it, because I've not seen this, or I've listened to this show at all yet. So
you'll love it.
Intrigued. I'll go check it out. I'm more than happy to go check it out. But
it gets, we haven't recorded now in 6 years, Josh, and it's still getting downloads on Spreaker, still getting downloads, still getting reviewed, still, it's
Liane,
Yeah.
I'm going to interject with here's a little story from last week.
Okay.
Last week we had another one of my dear friends, Charlie Shuck, on the show.
Yeah.
And he was on to promote he called it a short film. And it was funny that during the event, he's like, yeah, I kind of got you here under false pretenses. It's not so much a film as an art piece. So it was wonderful, by the way. But while I was there, as you do with these things, artists, gather, they talk about things that they're doing, things that they've worked on. I mentioned that, I was talking about podcast with another person there. And I'd mentioned doing, audio drama, The Burbs. And he says, oh, my friend loves that show. It's like, wait, what? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, I did the voice of Daniel. He's like, yes, he loves that show. I was like,
was he really talking about
hey.
the Burbs?
I was wondering, but since he didn't say, it was me that loved that show, he was like, my friend was like, yeah, he's like, I should find out.
Cool.
So
that's
if there
cool.
is another,
that's very cool.
It's
still getting downloaded. It's still on. It's on. I never. Spotify was so confusing for me to try to get the episodes loaded. I don't think I got them all loaded on Spotify, but they're definitely on Apple. And actually, there's another site that I never even heard of that has uploaded all the episodes, and they're all in order. So I was like, thank you.
That's cool.
I don't know who did that, but yeah, they're still out there. And now season 7 is coming back. I still have people asking me, when are you going to come out with the new season? Well, it'll be here by spring.
I think one of the things that we should do, just throwing this out there, and Brandon, unfortunately, one of the things you won't be able to recapture, playing catch up. Hurry up and play catch up, by the way. It's great. When the shows would go live, and we would all get into the chat and talk to the people listening to the show as it aired. Mm-hmm. That was a lot of fun.
That was, I'd forgotten about that, but you're absolutely right. So, Brandon, what we would do is we would announce each week, the next episode, and so we would air the show live and open up the chat room, and all the cast members would go into the chat room, and our regular listeners would be in there, and they would be, and I'm such a fan of the cliffhanger. So a lot of the episodes ended on a cliffhanger, and it would just really excite.
See that chat just like,
it would blow up. It would blow up. That was a lot of fun too. That was a lot of fun. Yeah, we should. But see, the thing is, well, I guess I would sacrifice myself for that because it's a 5 hour, it's a 5 hour time difference. It's like, oh my god!
I keep forgetting.
I promise you, I'm listening. I'm just pulling up the Burbs right now on the laptop.
Cool. That's cool.
So that way I can actually.
That's cool.
Oh, this puts them in reverse. Okay, season 1 full season, season 2 episode. Okay.
Yeah, it'll start with the newest episode. That's how they.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying as far as the episode time, because each one's like say episode 2. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm looking at Spreaker. I'm looking at the Spreaker site for the Burbs. Mm-hmm. So, ladies and gentlemen, what I'm looking at with the Burbs is there is season 1. I'm sorry, season 2. Season 1 is about 44 minutes, almost 45 minutes. Just 1 second. You could not spare that extra second to make it even 45. But the Burbs season 2, episode 1, 13 minutes 46 seconds. The next one's 11. Okay, so each one is relatively short, so it's much easier to. I don't want to say it's easier to get through. It's easier to really just sit down, listen to short spurts of
to digest.
That was always my goal. So when I go sit down to write a script, 12 pages is my target.
Okay.
A couple have gone over, maybe 14 if it's if I need to, like if I can't end it there cleanly. I'll go over a little bit, but yeah, 12 pages is my goal, and I usually hit it.
No, I mean, I'm looking forward to listening in on this. And real quick, you said the other show that you had an episode on was the John Carpenter. What was that one called again?
Suburban Screams. That's on
Suburban
Peacock.
Scream. Okay.
I just want to ask a couple of things about that myself.
You have questions about that?
I do.
Okay.
First, for those that were wondering about the format, it's like a true crime with supernatural theme, correct? Where you have the interview.
I didn't watch the other ones. I mean, okay, so let me tell you, the first time I watched my episode, I was just like, oh my God, I'm on TV, and like they're using my my government name, and yeah. I was so blown away by this actor who was supposed to be my husband, and hearing my name being said on the screen, it just was really overwhelming. And then seeing Angie on there, and it was just a little overwhelming. The second time I watched it, I cried, and I said, I can't ever watch this again. So yeah.
Well, the question I was going to ask was, how did it feel to see someone play you?
Oh God, I gotta stand up.
That stool, huh? Stool's getting you.
That stool's just killing my butt. So it was, I think, so like when the show starts, the family arrives at the new house, and the man who played my husband's character, Brian, he puts his arm around the actress and he says, oh, we're going to love this, Carlette. And when he said that, it was such a shock, Josh, hearing my name spoken, it was crazy. And I think that I reached out to him, as a matter of fact, and I told him, thank you for doing such an accurate portrayal of my late husband. And the woman who Sarah Pretty, who played my character, she pretty much nailed it. She nailed it, where I just told you that scene with the bottle of water and the pills. That scene was really good. I didn't see the man in the mirror, though. That was a bit of an embellishment. But we didn't go running into the night, although I probably should have. But
well, no, that's definitely that is a white person thing to do in a horror film.
Yeah, right.
Like that's that you let us white people. And like, what's the sound? Where should we go? Run outside.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that, even that the woman who played my mother, when she hissed at Brian, that was like spot on. That was spot on. That was dead accurate. So, it was a little nerve-wracking because, that is my life story, out there for everybody to see and to scrutinize and to, pick apart, because we know how volatile the internet can be. There's a lot of people who have supported me, and there's a lot of racists out there too. Fuck you.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think that, somebody reached out to me on LinkedIn and she was like, thank you for being brave enough to tell your story. And, Black people just don't, they don't do paranormal. Like, you just have these highly adrenalized alpha white males doing paranormal shit. Yeah, So to see a Black woman sitting there talking about how she was terrorized in her own house by unseen forces, then, some people had some pot shots. And I told my daughter, because, my daughter was the one watching the reviews and stuff like that, I didn't really bother. And maybe it's because I've done the film, maybe it's because of the audio. I didn't give a shit what people think, because I know what happened to me. I know what happened to my family. I know the experiences that we had. You know what? I really do not care one bit whether anybody believes it or not. I don't care. I didn't get paid to do Suburban Screams at all. You know?
Oh, really? Oh, wow. Okay.
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay. So did they just like when they did that show? Did they just like take your accounts and like just write a script around it and then make an episode out of it? Or
No,
like,
they literally. Well, I guess you could say they wrote a script around it, but they wrote a reenactment around it, is what I should say. Because it was. I'm telling you, he kept pretty much the integrity of everything I said.
okay.
He shot me. That footage that you see on Suburban Streams took about 4 hours of just me talking.
Okay. Now, as soon as the show's over, I'm going to go. I'm going to go into the living room and check it out. Because apparently, I guess when you delete apps on your phone, they just kick you out. Because I was actually going to pull it up on my phone, not watch it during the show. Obviously, that'd be messed up. But
Yeah.
just it's like, excuse me, I'm watching something. But no, it's I'm looking forward to seeing this. I was just curious. I didn't know. Like, I'm surprised that you didn't get paid for your time, especially if you're providing.
Well, I mean,
what you would
they
gave
gave us a little something, but what I mean is, like, that was certainly not enough for me to be motivated to fly from England to Los Angeles for 3 days. 3 days.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you had to come out here to have a sit down.
Mhm.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. See, I misunderstood that. I was thinking that you filmed this like, I'm sorry, that you had like kind of like how we're doing this right now with someone, and you sat down for like 4 hours with them to discuss and make the. Wow, they flew you halfway around the world for 4 hours.
What they did was okay. So like I said, I got the phone call from the executive producer, and then they zoomed me for me to tell the story. I guess to see how I would look on camera.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next step was once the network had approved it and John Carpenter had approved it, then they flew me and my daughter out there. So yeah, we flew from London to Los Angeles.
Wow.
It was a 12-hour flight, y'all.
Oh yeah. That's what threw me off. Okay, so like you had the preliminary like Zoom conference or like Skype or whatever, just like the
screen. What do they call it? A screen test.
Yeah. Okay. So see, that's what I was thinking that you meant when you said you were sitting there for 4 hours, because that's where my mind was going when you like mentioned having the conversation with them earlier. Man, that is a 12-hour flight for a 4-hour sit-down conversation to hang out for a little bit to fly all the way back to London and get back to
Blighty. Yes, Blighty.
My Lord.
But it was worth it. Again, it was telling my story. It was, and I had tried to outlet that experience and those experiences through the Burbs. I had tried to do that, but because it's only based on true stories, and it's more about the town where they live, in the Burbs. But this was specifically talking about what happened in our house and how it tore our family apart. And so it was my real life story and the consequences that happened because of but the whole thing is the neighborhood, the county where this happened has such a dark history that so like the Native Americans were slaughtered there, the slaves were slaughtered there. It's just blood soaked. As a matter of fact, after Wilkes Booth shot Lincoln, he rode through there to the mud house to get fixed up, and that was right like within walking distance to my house. So it just so much. And it's funny because in the beginning, as they're driving to the house, this is in Suburban Screams, they show the family driving to the new house, and they show this piece of roadkill on the side of the road. And, they listened to me. That's what was so fascinating for me, is that they actually listened to everything I said, because one of the things I said to them, the first thing that alerted me or that popped up on my radar in this neighborhood was that there was so much roadkill. I had never seen that much roadkill in my life. And it wasn't just like a dead animal on the side of the road. We're talking about violent entrails being dragged. It was just gross. Yeah, it was just
gruesome.
It was gruesome, just entrails and brains and just all kinds of stuff. And these poor animals, and I had never seen anything like that in my life. And it was everywhere. And that was the first thing that it just didn't feel right, And then I started hearing about, well, you can watch it, because I'm telling you, everything is true in the episode.
Oh yeah, no. I'm looking forward to seeing yours and everyone else. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No,
I'll shut up.
No, it's okay. There were strange deaths that happened in that neighborhood. So, like the man down the street, he had died in his house, and they found his cats. He'd been dead in the house, and the cats were eating him by the time they found his body. And then one man hung himself, and somebody else shot themselves. And the girl that lived directly next door to us, there was a woman who owned the house, and her son and his wife and their 2 kids were living in the house. Come to find out, he was a pedophile and molesting the stepdaughter, and he ended up going to prison. And another family moved in the house. The mother rented it to somebody else. And the oldest daughter went to high school with my oldest daughter, and she committed suicide in that house. I mean, just all kinds of crazy shit was happening in this neighborhood. And by the time I left, because Brian was gone by then, by the time I left, we were the 4th or 5th house. Every single house was vacant until you got to my house. And then my house became vacant. But it was like people were getting purged. Like, it started out on the corner, then the next house, and then the next house, and they weren't filling back up. Like, people weren't moving into it. So like all these empty houses, and then you got to my house, and then I ended up leaving. So yeah, it was just crazy shit. Crazy.
Yeah, my lord. No, I'm looking forward to actually watching the show, because I don't think I've I don't think that I ever even heard of it before this, but I'm looking forward to. Sorry, I just got a.
Let me know what you think.
No, absolutely. Sorry, I just apparently missed a call from property management today. Sorry about that. I explained like a number I don't like answering for numbers I don't know, and apparently, property manager tried to call me a few times. I just didn't answer for her. No, it's like I'm looking forward to checking this out. Like, I mean, I love paranormal stuff. I absolutely love and I'm sure it was traumatizing, so I'm not trying to make light of it or be like, oh, it's going to be great entertainment. I find that stuff fascinating. Absolutely, I could talk about paranormal and all kinds.
Well, it got to the point, I was writing The Burbs when we lived in that house, and we had already started recording when I was still in that house. I don't know if you were with me at that point, Josh, when we first started, but I think maybe I had done a season or 2, and I had creeped myself out because I was still living in that house, writing that stuff. And I just kind of freaked myself out, and I stopped writing The Burbs for a minute until I moved. And then I started writing it again. But yeah, it was some crazy shit going on in there.
I mean, I would say that's usually pretty good when you're actually really creeping yourself out with your writing. That's usually when you're writing something really good. Excuse me.
Ooh, salud.
My lord.
So you know where I am? Do you know where I am? Did Josh tell you where I am?
Yeah, I know that you're in South America.
I'm in Cartagena, Colombia.
There you go. Well, it's okay. I am in Long Beach, California.
Same
Nearby
thing.
Snoop Dogg's old neighborhood. Yeah. It's
thing.
it's more exotic where you are. I guarantee it. Yeah, it's really nice.
I am in Rio.
Yeah, yeah. On your computer screen.
I
As
can
far as
tell.
you know.
I can tell.
My
I
God.
can tell the life of the party.
No. It's like with the paranormal kind of things. Like I said, I could talk about that stuff all day long.
All right, let's do it.
I'll talk paranormal
All day long.
Well,
Starting now.
Tomorrow, I can call
tomorrow?
you and huh?
So okay, you're going to talk about paranormal stuff all day tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm going to keep you busy on the phone with me all day because you want to talk paranormal stuff. Dude, I could talk your ear off about that stuff, buddy, all day long. So I mean, so all this happened in Washington D.C., if I'm not mistaken, right?
A suburb of
that's-
DC. Yes.
Yeah, because that's where you're living when you started writing The Burbs.
Yes.
And okay, so and then, wow, that's yeah. But what I was saying is like when you're writing something, because when I went to film school, and I remember I was trying to figure out like when you're in film school, you're always trying to figure out where you're going to end up in film. Like you have an idea of what you want to do, but then you start working in different areas. For those of you that are not aware of what film school is like, you are working every single section of working on a film set while you're in school, depending on how far into it you go. But with me, I realized I don't like being around thick crowds of people. I don't like being in front of camera. I make an exception for this because I get to hang out with this guy over here. But really what it is like for me, I loved writing.
Yeah.
So there was one night where I'm writing something and I've got the lights. So like I forgot how I started writing around like 2:00 in the afternoon. And before I knew it, it's like almost 2:00 in the morning, but all the lights are out, just like me and the computer screen and whatever. And it was a horror, like a supernatural horror. I was, I think, like 30 pages in after 12 hours. I was like 30 pages into the script. It's like I was just writing the most messed up scenarios. And then I'm like, okay, I'm done. And save. Closed final draft, turned around, like, shit. I got to walk upstairs in my room while the lights are out. The light switch is all the way over there. It's like a giant open. Like I think at the time I was like 24, 25 years old.
Uh-huh.
And I'll tell you right now, you never get past that little childhood fear of running up the steps and skipping steps on your way up because you're so freaked out by something.
Yeah.
I fell up the stairs. Like, I mean, I just tumbled and I got to my room, slammed the door shut, locked the door, and realized the room's dark, the light switch is over there. I just, it was a mess. But yeah, I got a lot of good writing done, and I went back and reread it, showed it to my girlfriend at the time, and just she was freaked out by some things I wrote. I'm like, oh yeah, like how'd you write this? Like, I was drunk and stoned, just whatever. I was just thinking of things that would really creep me out. I started at 2:00 in the afternoon, and then next thing you know, it's 12 hours later, and I had 30 pages, and that's where it was getting into the meat of the story. All the really creepy things were happening, and yeah, I don't think I ever went back to that. Though. I don't think I ever went back to that script. I think it was like just after 12 hours, I was done writing it, and I was like, oh, I'm good.
You never know. You might go back to it, though.
Well, I do have a script that I'm going to toss over to Josh to have him give some input on called Infectocalypse, like a comedic look at like the zombie apocalypse or like a pandemic kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just people are killing these zombies, but these zombies are, while they are infected, kind of like 28 days later kind of deal.
Mm.
There is actually a cure for it. So it's just like, but like it's two guys that are co-writers. They call themselves co-writers for a successful zombie survival book. The guy that wrote the book that is killed almost instantly in the script. Just no one's expecting a zombie apocalypse to actually happen. So the guy that wrote the book is one of the first ones that dies.
Yes.
Being that these two guys are his friends, and they gave him some drunken ideas for him to put into his book, and he thought they were good ideas. He awarded them, co-writing credit. So, meantime, these guys, after this guy's dead, a few people look to these local celebrities to guide them through the zombie apocalypse. but these guys never even read the book. Like they're just like lazy slackers. They don't even like each other. They never read this book, but now they're just trying to fake it till they make it. But they're just getting people killed along the way. Like everything they should be doing is the polar opposite of what the book says to do. Like even the tagline is like they helped write the book on surviving the zombie apocalypse. It's too bad they never read it. So,
right, okay.
But even that was I wrote something I creeped myself out with. I don't know, Josh. I was told that maybe I should take out the zombie Jesus.
Never.
That's what I said. Like I think a zombie Jesus is hysterical. Like especially if they strap him to like the front of the car and everything else, like crucify, like kind of that. Just no. Yeah. What do you think?
Leave it.
Yeah. Listen, if there's a hell, my soul's already going there. So I'm just enjoying the ride. But no, so like getting back to our guest though, it's not about me, ladies and gentlemen. It's about Liane down here, where she's our guest. But
that out.
I was into the story, so.
So I mean, like, are you? Would you say that you're more of like that? You're more interested in like writing like horror, or like do you? Are there like other genres that you've written? Like, well, I guess horror, like suspense, things like that. But are there other genres that you've tried to dive into, just like to try your hand at to see where you fit in the most as a writer, or like just?
That's pretty funny because I started off as writing erotica. That's how I started, and selling stories. Yeah, selling stories. And that's that's how I ended up coming up with my pseudonym, as a matter of fact, because I was an adjunct professor at the time, and I didn't want my students knowing what I was up to. And my kids were young at the time, and I didn't want any backlash on them. So, and the internet wasn't what it then what it is now. I mean, we were relatively safe then, but now I would never do it. So that's how I started. And, like I said, but I had been writing stories since I was a kid, but then I got involved in some role play writing groups. And one of them was King Arthur, the movie.
Okay.
There was a role play group, and we would write King Arthur's story. And then I went on to the Black Dagger Brotherhood, which is a series, a book series, and writing a couple of characters in that. And then, it just gained momentum where I was just writing and writing and writing. But I found, so I can write anything, but I do prefer psychological thrillers. I was a huge Stephen King fan. I read every one of his books. I remember I was about 16, reading The Shining, and my mom went out of town while I was reading that book, and I put it down because I couldn't read it while she was gone. I was terrified. So I've just been a big fan of his. So, I've often said that I liken my writing skills, or my writing style, rather, not my skills, because I wouldn't put myself in their category. I don't think I'm worthy of that. But I join Alfred Hitchcock, Stephen King, Edgar Allan Poe, and Bram Stoker.
Okay.
I channel them when I'm writing. So from Bram Stoker, I get his descriptive writing, because when he talks about that Carpathian Pass in Dracula, it is terrifying. So I think of him when I'm writing, when I'm doing descriptive writing. Stephen King, I push my buttons, I push my boundaries with just like crazy horror, because some of the shit he writes is like, oh my God, it's so scary, scary. So I pushed myself with that. Alfred Hitchcock was just a master. He didn't write, but his directorial style, this is what I envision when I'm writing The Burbs, I'm visualizing it as well. And then who else did I say? Oh, Edgar Allan Poe. He was creepy, very creepy.
Oh yeah.
In a more subtle way.
Oh yeah,
he was eerie. I could say eerie. So I like
Oh yeah.
them. I like writing. I like combining all four of those elements when I'm trying to write something.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, Stephen, yeah. So I was going to say Edgar Allan Poe is like the Stephen King of his time, like of his era with
Yeah,
what he wrote. So I
exactly.
mean, this,
Exactly.
the Raven,
His some of
Telltale
his
Heart,
short
what the.
sections, some of his short stories in his collection are just like the yellow wallpaper. That's some crazy
Yep.
shit.
Oh
That's
yeah.
some crazy shit. Yeah, I love his stories.
And then they made that really horrible John Cusack movie based off of Edgar Allan Poe's work. So it was so bad.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
could not sit through that thing. I was like, oh, this is what you do with all these beautiful, wonderful, creepy, morbid stories that you made this.
Yeah.
Huh.
And he was a
Anyway.
creepy, morbid kind of guy too. But
Oh yeah.
what movie was that I watched not that long ago where it was Poe and Sherlock Holmes in a movie?
Oh, I don't. Um,
Oh my gosh.
I don't know. Tall Tale with Patrick Swayze.
No.
Get out.
I don't know. I didn't know that was a thing. I mean, I can think maybe like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, but Abe Lincoln was in it.
No, it was a
Oh.
film where it was Sherlock Holmes and Edgar Allan Poe. No, but was it Sherlock
I'm
Holmes?
trying to think.
It was Edgar Allan Poe he was in college.
Mhm.
He was at university and he ended up solving the crime of somebody who had killed somebody. I don't know. It was military school. It was military school. Josh, help me out, man. What am I talking about?
The Pale Blue Eye. That sound familiar?
Was this a movie or TV show?
Set in West Point.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
I remember when this came out. I just had no idea what it was about.
What was it called?
The Pale Blue Eye.
The Pale Blue Eye.
Netflix original.
Yeah, okay. Who was in it?
Christian Bale.
Yeah, there it is. Okay. Oh, this is a brand new movie. Okay, this just came out last year.
Christian Bale. I don't remember him being in it.
Yeah, Augustus Landor.
I don't remember Christian Bale. Let me tell you.
Robert Duvall.
No, it's not the same film. That's not it. Pale Blue Eye.
Hey, Josh.
Yo.
Oh yeah, that is it. That's it. Yep, that is it. I forgot he was in it. Oh yeah, that's it.
I was going to say we're still broke, Josh. I didn't win the lottery.
Oh damn.
You had one job, Brandon.
I know. My job is to.
That is the film though, The Pale Blue Eye.
Okay, and this is on Netflix.
That's probably why it was salvageable because Christian Bale was in it. That's my baby daddy in an alternate universe.
Let's see. Okay, yeah, I'll check it out later on. We'll be on for that. But it is about that time.
Mm-hmm.
Now's the time to say goodbye.
Yeah, I got two dogs that are probably out there waiting with their legs crossed to go outside.
Teeth are floating. Teeth are floating. Gotta go pee.
But,
I miss my dog. I miss my baby girl.
Yeah, that was the hardest part about my trip is being away from Indiana. Not so much chaos, but I missed Indiana. My dog, my pup, had since he was a puppy. But Liane, where can people find you on the socials, as Josh calls it? Where can they find you, like, online?
I really cut back on my social media. Elon, whatever the fuck his name is. What's his name, Josh?
Oh, that's mine.
Muskie. He completely ruined Twitter, so I don't go there anymore. I am on Instagram at Liane Moonraven. Liane Moonraven official, I think.
Okay.
But yeah, just YouTube. If you check out the films, that would be great. You can check out the Burbs. Josh knows how to find me. I'm really kind of laying low. The social media is just an armpit, and
It's a magical place. Magical place. Full of the
and
nicest people. No sour feelings from anyone, no hostile stuff. No one hides behind fake Facebook profile. Like, I love that
not
about
at all.
Facebook. Everyone is who they say they are, and they're the nicest people in the
Absolutely.
world.
Switching hats here, the work that I do to like pay my bills and stuff. A friend of mine, another woman who does a lot of research on social media and Black women in social media, and the latest statistic I heard was like Black women are 84% more likely to be targeted online for racial abuse and all other kind of stuff. So 84%, that's a lot. So I need to protect myself, my mental health. So I just kind of, I like to look at cat videos and shit.
Well, I get it.
My Facebook page, it's like literally friends and family. That's it. I have like 184 people on my Facebook page, and that's reserved, because that's the one place in the world that I can control. That's the place I can block people and not let them into my world if I don't want to. So, yeah, I'm just not really out there.
Well, no, you gotta look out for your mental health, and especially like in today's society where everyone is still, very dismissive, and like I guess everything is as morons call it, woke about everything. Like if it's not just like some like straight white dude or whatever in like in a movie, it's just too woke to really watch. So it's like I get it. I do understand the whole taking a step back from like just online presences and everything else. I think actually I rarely ever even post on Facebook anymore. I usually just like, and most of my stuff is just stupid memes, unless I'm talking about the show or trying to get people to vote for our show.
And I did vote for your show, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. And we appreciate that. So I wasn't yelling at you. I'm just yelling at the general audience. Like, hey, we're still voting, guys. Yep, right there. So let me go ahead and plug this really quick. Ladies and gentlemen, if you see this right here, there's a link at the bottom. I will be posting this on our Facebook as well as on our Instagram page as well. You up until the 31st, you guys can vote for us as being Folio Weekly's best podcast of Jacksonville. There is a few in the runnings right now. We got past the nominations, for which Josh and I are very thankful. But now we have to vote every day till I think it's December 31st. You can vote once a day with your email. Just go in there, type it in, vote for us, help us out. So that way we'll get our little tiny thing that we can post like over here with our WADcast logo to say that we are the best of the best of the best in podcasting in Jacksonville in 2023, at least in the eyes of Folio Weekly. And that's all that matters to me, that we are the best at something and that we win something, since I can't seem to win the damn lottery no matter how much I play it. So that's about it.
My battery light just came on. I think my laptop's gonna conk out here in a second.
Okay, so but then we'll wrap this up really quick. Follow me, bjackman1982. It is right here at the bottom of my screen. That's my Instagram. Go to the WADcast. Type in the WADcast. You'll see our picture in the WADcast Instagram page. And same with the Facebook. Type in the WADcast. Give us a follow. Give us a like. Give us a vote. Just keep voting. And that's it. Josh, you want to go ahead and wrap this up?
Well, first, I'm going to say go to wadcomedia.com for all the pertinent links and information that you need to find out where we are, who we are, and what we do. That is really the one address you need to know to get everywhere. And while you're at it, hey, check out the stuff that we might have available merchandise-wise. Because even though there's a Patreon, we prefer if you throw your hard-earned money our way, it go to something that you can have tangibly in your hands. What can I say? I'm old-fashioned that way. So, yeah. What? It's time for the music. Time for the music. Well, ladies and gentlemen, when you hear the music, you know what time it is. It's time for me to tell you exactly the thing you need to hear, which is the only thing standing between you and your dreams is you. If there is something you want to create, if there's something you want to do, then you need to go out there and do it. If you want to be a writer, all it takes is a pen and some paper. All it takes is any kind of Word doc. You just start getting your words together. If you want to be a director, you got a phone, start getting some shots, because you're not going to become a master until you become a novice. And that doesn't happen until you just start doing. Acting, same thing. Find some scripts, read some lines, learn some lines, recite some lines, start doing lines, and then start acting. It really just takes that first step to get you going to where you want to go. So stop getting in your own way. All right, this has been the WADcast episode number 153 for your consideration. Best podcast, Jacksonville, fully weekly 2023.
Yep.
I am Josh, that guy over there.
I'm Brandon. And Liane, thank you. It was great having her on the show.
You know, it's one of the greatest things and greatest curses of having so many talented, wonderful friends. It's hard to soak in all of their awesomeness in just an hour. So yes, thank you, Liane, for joining us tonight. I hope you had as much fun as we did. And as for everybody else, thank you for tuning in. Love you guys. And we will see you next time right here on the WADcast. That sound about right, Brandon?
It sounded right. Hey, Josh, good night, buddy.
Good night, my dude.